sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Ohio.
I'm very much looking forward to opening day this year. Very, very much. I cannot wait to hear the ovation and the excitement.
Playing first base, number 19, Joey Votto.
I cannot wait to high-five at the end of the game after we get our first win of many this year.
The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez.
I'm given so much. Applause of the fans, the money, the awards, and you take in so much.
High fly ball. Straight away center. Did he win it? He did.
After a while, you want to give something back. You want to be part of giving something back. And I saw a smidgen of it when we made it to the playoffs.
High drive. Left center field. The Reds are National League Central Division champions.
The ultimate give back is winning for the city.
What a play by Billy Hamilton. What a play again by the amazing Brandon Phillips.
The ultimate give back is having the parade in downtown Cincinnati.
And that is strike 3 called.
Being able to say to the fans, we played an additional month with passion and pride for you and for us together.
Well, for the 139th time in franchise history, the city of Cincinnati celebrates opening day of the baseball season. Of course, it began early this morning. The traditional Findlay Market Parade in downtown Cincinnati. We had it for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Some of the greats in years past. And tens of thousands come rolling into downtown Cincinnati. The players are set. Reds country is ready. We know you're ready. It is opening day from Great American Ballpark 2015. The Pittsburgh Pirates in town to take on the Cincinnati Reds. And happy opening day, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman, along with our entire Fox Sports Ohio crew. We thank you for joining us. A special day indeed. For the last 5 years, we're sitting here talking about high expectations. The Reds 3 out of 4 years prior to last season had been to the postseason. Some may say not as high this year. Don't tell the players that. They very much believe in this team.
Well, they believe in the team. I think you said it right there, Tom. They've got to play as a team. The San Francisco Giants over the last few years have shown everybody in baseball what you can do when you play as one unit. And I think that's the calling card for this ball club this year. But keep in mind, they've also got some superstars. Joey Votto, a former MVP, and a guy who's always on the short list for being a Cy Young Award winner, Johnny Cueto. And, you know, it's interesting that they're going to play the Pirates today, because if Johnny Cueto had a team to pick to start the season off, it would certainly be the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has simply dominated the Pirates in his entire career, especially since really 2012. They have done nothing against Johnny Cueto. He's won the last 7 decisions, and I imagine Johnny Cueto is quite ready for today's assignment.
Can't wait to get it started. They're expecting the largest ever opening day crowd in the short history of Great American Ballpark. It is opening day. Back with more in a moment. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only in your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. How could you not be feeling good today? Opening day here in Cincinnati's Great American Ballpark. And the weather so far real good. What about the rest of the ball game? We check in with our main man. And a happy opening day to you, Mr. Tim Hedrick.
Hello, Tommy. Good to be here. Temperature right now standing at 68 degrees. We should drop down to about 64 by the end of game time. There is a slight chance of a few scattered light showers, but nothing that's going to stop the ball game. That's from the Doppler 12 Weather Center. Now back to Fox Sports Ohio with Tom Brenneman and Chris Welsh.
All right, Tim, thanks so much. Great to have you as a part of our opening day telecast. And when we come back, it is time to get it on. Francisco Liriano and the Pirates against Billy Hamilton and the Reds. First pitch, opening day, right around the corner. Johnny Cueto, the opening day starter, his 4th consecutively for the Cincinnati Reds. A 20-game winner, led the league in innings pitched, strikeouts, game started. Chris, a sparkling 2.2 ERA were it not for Clayton Kershaw. He wins a Cy Young Award.
You know, the more you look inside Johnny Cueto's numbers, the more you're amazed as to what he's been able to do in this very tough division, in this tough ballpark to pitch. I mean, in the summertime, the ball flies right out of here, but Cueto, because he keeps the ball down, is able to limit the number of home runs. He's the best in the business as far as right-handers in shutting down the opponent's running game. And believe me, in his free agent year, this ought to be a treat to watch him all year long get the ball as the Reds' #1 starter.
Cincinnati native and Princeton High School grad, University of Cincinnati alum Josh Harrison will lead things off. How about this note? The first Cincinnati-born player to see the first pitch in Cincinnati on an opening day game since Peter Edward Rose wore the uniform of the Philadelphia Phillies in 1981. It is Steve Reich 1, and we are underway in 2015. One and one. Harrison, amazing story last year. Barely made the team out of spring training. Was a utility player, but was playing regularly anywhere and everywhere. And he's out #1 to begin the game. He wound up in the All-Star game and is now their everyday third baseman. Let's take a look at Clint Ertle's starting lineup, brought to you by Lexus. Gregory Polanco coming up in right, their MVP candidate every year. Andrew McCutchen bats third. Neil Walker, the cleanup hitter. Sterling Marte is in left. Pedro Alvarez is now the first baseman, no longer the third baseman. Cervelli comes over from the Yankees. Mercer, the shortstop. Liriano on the mound. Polanco played in 89 games last year. Highly touted prospect. Hit .235, 7 home runs, 33 batted in. Came on strong near the end of the year. Did a lot of swinging and missing shortly after coming up.
Well, he has a lot of movement with the bat. And that's one of the things that they tried to get. And they do this with a lot of minor leaguers coming up, where the more bat movement that you have, especially when you've got the barrel of the bat pointing towards a pitcher right as your front foot's down, that makes a long path to the ball. They've tried to shorten that.
2-strike hitting right there, and a base hit into center field. Polanco aboard with 1 out here in the first inning. Let's take a look at the Reds defense, brought to you by Ford. You were recognized as the best team defensively in all of Major League Baseball a year ago. And the only change is in left field, where Marlon Byrd now takes over.
And he's been a center fielder for the majority of his major league career. So you can argue that the Reds have still the best defensive team in the National League out there when they've got their starting 8 out there. In fact, Marlon Byrd was very impressive defensively in Goodyear, Arizona during the Reds spring training. He made some plays out there that I think people looked at each other and said, wow, he still has a lot of athleticism left in him.
28-year-old All-Star Andrew McCutchen looks at a strike. He won't turn 29 until October. He's finished in the top 3 in the National League MVP voting in each of the last 3 years. He is the very face of this franchise, and many will tell you the most important player in Pirates history since Roberto Clemente. Hot smash, Frazier, a diving stab, and got it out. Votto the pick at the other end. What a play by Frazier, what a play by Votto. And we just talked about the Reds on defense.
You know, it might be too early in the game to talk about a game-saving play, but you never really know. If this ball goes down the line as extra bases, chances are the Pirates score. McCutchen ends up at least on second, and they may have a big rally building. But a play like that, talk about a pick-me-up for a pitcher, changes the entire complexion of this inning.
Two down, runner in scoring position, and the batter Neil Walker. Walker, a rock-solid player in the middle of this Pirates batting order, especially against right-handed pitching. He had 23 home runs and 76 runs batted in last year. Runner at second, two down in the inning. Up and in, checks his swing. The appeal, no. 1 ball and 1 strike to Neil Walker.
That's a purpose pitch right there. You're trying to buy the outside part of first base. The only way you're doing that against a good quality hitter like Neil Walker is you've got to come in a little bit, change his eye angle, make sure that he doesn't feel all that comfortable in there. And Cueto is an expert about pitching inside.
1-2. So now, thanks to a great defensive play by both Frazier and Votto, Cueto a strike away from getting out of the first. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes on Neil Walker.
You know, you watch the radar gun as you watch Johnny Cueto, and you realize you just never see the same radar gun reading 2 times in a row. He's always adding a little bit, subtracting a little bit more on that last seam fastball, dialing up at 95.
Walker has always been very good against Cincinnati pitching, and those numbers certainly bear that out.
Well, not so much, though, against Johnny Cueto. Overall, he's a 200 hitter, and that is a lot like just about everybody up and down this Pirate lineup. There are very few hitters here that even want to see Cueto on the mound. Lifetime, Johnny is 18-4 against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and since June of 2012, he is 7-0. So they have not been able to do much at all as far as converting runners into runs.
Again, a 1-2 on Walker, and that'll take care of him to end the inning. Great defense behind Cueto. Billy Hamilton will try and get it started when we return for the Cincinnati opening inning. Opening day 2015. Pirates a scoreless top of the first inning. Take a look at the Reds starting lineup presented by Meyer. Under second-year manager Brian Price. Billy Hamilton, Joey Votto in the 2-0. I want to ask you about that, Chris Welsh. Todd Frazier batting third, middle third of Devin Mesoraco, Marlon Byrd fifth, Jay Bruce sixth. Brandon Phillips all the way down to 7. Zach Cozart 8. Johnny Cueto bats 9. And making back-to-back opening day starts for the Pirates is left-hander Francisco Liriano.
Fresh off a new deal, an extension for 3 more years for Francisco Liriano. He is throwing the ball, according to the scouts that I spoke to, about as well as anybody in the state of Florida during spring training. 94 with the fastball, great slider, and also a good changeup.
Your thoughts on Joey Votto going into the 2-0 at least to begin the year?
Makes all the sense in the world. I mean, you want on-base percentage. Votto gives you that. You want a second leadoff man.
Nice play by Francisco Cervelli behind the plate to throw out a bunting Billy Hamilton.
And the second leadoff man is exactly what happens right here. Your leadoff guy makes an out, as Billy Hamilton does. Now you want a player to get himself on second base. And when Votto's right, he's not a home run hitter, but he's a doubles machine. And that's why he is the perfect number 2 hitter.
Votto now 31 years old. 2010 National League Most Valuable Player, Hank Aaron Award winner, 4-time National League All-Star, a Gold Glove winner as well. But of course, ever since he injured his left knee, requiring a pair of surgeries in 2012, his numbers have not approached anywhere close to the numbers, at least as far as doubles, home runs, runs batted in. The on-base percentage still very good. Slugging percentage not bad. Behind 1 and 2. He played in every game 2 years ago. Last year only 62. And many believe so goes Joey Votto. So go the Cincinnati Reds here in 2015. 2 and 2 on Joey Votto. Some may say perhaps not fair. Life's not fair.
How would you know?
Good point. Tapper to Neil Walker, and that'll be out number 2 here in the first inning. Pirates on defense presented by Ford. McCutchen flanked by Marte and Polanco. On the corners, Harrison, and the big change is Alvarez going from third to first, where it has not been good so far, we understand, in spring training. And up the middle, once again, Mercer and Walker Cervelli, their first-year catcher, takes over for Russell Martin.
Kind of a big year, really, for the Pirates in evaluating their right side of the infield. Neil Walker, Pedro Alvarez, both arbitration eligible. Will they pay to keep them both?
Knocked down by Liriano, picks it up, and he delivers a 1-2-3 opening inning. End of 1 on opening day, no score. Let's check in with Jim Day.
Tom, Chris, thank you very much. Glad to be back with you guys, and we're going to have a fun year. The Reds ownership group put $5 million into Great American Ballpark. There are a ton of new additions to this stadium. We're going to highlight those in the coming days and the coming broadcasts here on Fox Sports Ohio. As always, we'll keep you updated on those human interest stories coming out of the Reds dugout. Keep you updated on any Reds news, and of course have some interviews along the way. In fact, that's my next assignment. I am going to hunt down the Nasty Boys. Stay tuned.
Very nice. Looking forward to that. Always great to have Jim Day with us. Jim Day every day.
Every day, all day in spring training. That guy was just working his tail off down there for about 6 weeks. If anybody knows something about this ball club, it would be Jim Day.
No score. We begin the second inning. Johnny Cueto facing Starling Marte.
You know, it's really interesting that even Marte would be in the lineup here. I mean, here, I know he's a number 5 hitter. He came on big, strong last year. He's a much improved hitter, but against Johnny Cueto, he is 1 for 20. That is an 0.50 batting average. That's a bad hitting pitcher's batting average. And maybe it's a stroke of an idea by Clint Hurl saying, you know what, if he's going to be the middle of the lineup guy, I can't sit him for a confidence standpoint, even if he's facing a guy that he's had 0 success against.
Marte, enormously talented, 26 years old, at 291, stole 30 bases, had 13 home runs a season ago. But really, it was a half a season, as Chris alluded to. In mid-July, not doing much, had to go back home to the Dominican Republic on the bereavement list. When he came back, he got hit in the head with a fastball, went on the DL. But boy, when he came back in August, he was nearly impossible to get out. He had 354 and had an on-base percentage of well over 400 the rest of the way. Gone swinging against Cueto, and nothing new for Marte against the Reds ace.
Well, he's got so much bat movement, Marte does. That's a little slider. It looks like that Johnny throws down and away. And, you know, he never really starts his swing from the same spot. He was a little bit better last year doing that, trying to quiet things down. But it looks like he's back to his old self, at least right now, early in the season.
Pedro Alvarez. First pitch swinging right into the shift. There's Brandon Phillips. One pitch takes care of Alvarez. You know, you look at this Pirate team, Chris, and as we know, 20 years in a row, a losing record. The last 2 years they played in the wild card game. They beat the Reds 2 seasons ago. They lost to the Giants last year. There are some that believe the Pirates will win this Central Division. there are a few others that believe the Pirates will win the National League pennant. You talk to people who saw the Pirates in spring training, and they will say not so fast.
Well,
good team, but a lot of questions.
You're right, and one of the questions the Pirates have to answer is how they're going to play on the road in 2015. They were exceptional when they got other teams into Pittsburgh. 51 wins against only 30 losses, but they were under 500 on the road. And you're not going to win a division if you do that, no matter how well you play at home. The Colorado Rockies have proved that for years. The big loss for the Pirates really is being replaced by the guy at the plate right now, Francisco Cervelli. They lost Russell Martin. He went free agent, signed a big-time contract with the Toronto Blue Jays, and he was a fiber that held a lot of this team together. So their question mark is who is going to take his place not only behind home plate, but in the clubhouse, motivating the pitchers, essentially controlling the game.
A very, very light rain begins to fall. 1-2 on Cervelli, and it's 2-2. If you're just joining us, it was a spectacular play made by Frazier. Chris, you pointed out at the time that it could turn out that that was the play of the game. Of course, we'll see how it plays out, but that was a big one. The third batter of the game.
That's the kind of play, though, that can boost everybody's spirits. If you don't make that play, especially on opening day, and then the floodgates open a little bit, and you think you've got to score a couple of runs to get back in the game, it changes the entire feeling of this game.
Sharp one, Opry Cozart, and it's a 1-2-3 second for Johnny Cueto. The rain continues to fall a little harder on opening day. No score. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. The schedule for the Reds. First 22 games inside the National League Central Division. 2 series against each of the other 4 teams. The final day of the opening month is the first time the Reds will step outside of their division. You have a pretty good idea about maybe how it's all going to start to look after a month.
Not only about themselves, but what about those other teams that they've seen so much of if they're in spring training, like the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers, or the teams that you haven't seen much of who spring train in Florida. 22 of 23 in the division. That's really the way. I love a start like that.
And generally they start like that all over baseball now, and they finish all over baseball in September that way. Devin Mesoraco played in a career-high 114 games a year ago. 25 home runs. That was more than any other major league catcher. He drove in 80 runs. Quite a calendar year for Mesoraco. An everyday player for the first time. An all-star for the first time. Got married at the end of the year and then awarded with a 4-year contract, buying out 3 years of arbitration and his first potential year as a free agent.
And here he is batting cleanup.
Not bad. Well, the rain started, came down a little harder, and appears to maybe slightly a little mist. And that was a forecast by our friend Tim Hedrick going into the game today. And Mesoraco becomes the first Reds base runner here in 2015. A walk begins the second inning.
That's one of the things that the Reds really need to be aware of with Francisco Liriano on the mound. He's not had very good success against the Reds. His record is 0-5. But in the 30 innings that he's pitched against the Reds, and in the last 5 starts, those in 2014, he has walked 19 batters. So if you work him hard enough, you'll find your way to first base.
First at bat is a Cincinnati Red from Marlon Byrd. You know, it's funny, as great as Cueto has been against the Pirates and as poor as Liriano has been against the Reds, it's only one game that most fans remember. And it went the other way. The one-game playoff. Marlon Byrd hit a home run in that game while wearing a Pirates uniform. Cueto knocked out of the game early. Pirates won it before bowing in the division series to St. Louis.
That's when Marlon Byrd was picked up by the Pirates just before the roster deadline around the 1st of September in 2013. They were very happy with the contribution that Marlon Byrd gave them.
Three pitches and Byrd is gone. One away in the inning.
If you want to see the whole repertoire, there it was. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Fastball, changeup, slider. That's his go-to pitch against righties and lefties. That slider that has such depth on it. You see a lot of swings and misses on. You're going to sit at home in your couch, and we're going to show you from the center field camera, and you're going to say, well, why are you swinging at that? But from the batter's eye, it looks like it could be a strike.
So much has been made in Major League Baseball about defensive shifts over the last couple of years. No one buys into that more than Clint Hurdle and the Pirates. They quadrupled their use of defensive shifts from 12 to 13. Nearly doubled it again last year. 2-0 on Jay Bruce.
And not only just the defensive shift, but the odd way to do a shift. Sometimes he'll have the third baseman go way into right field instead of just moving the shortstop over. He's not afraid to experiment.
Look out.
You know, I mentioned about Starling Marte. Is that why would he be in the ball game if he's 1 for 20 against Johnny Cueto? You can kind of make that argument for Jay Bruce. He's 0 for 16 lifetime against Francisco Liriano. But it just goes to show you how managers have to keep the confidence of their players where they want them to be and not turn them into a platoon player.
Of course, Bruce missed a little more than 2 weeks last year, exactly 15 days after arthroscopic surgery on his left knee. Had the worst year of his major league career. Hit .217, 18 home runs, 66 batted in. He had gotten better and better in home runs and RBIs every year of his career, and he draws a walk from Liriano. So Jay Bruce says thank you very much.
Walk's as good as a hit.
Well, you have a little something working here in the rain on opening day in Cincinnati. A lot of the fans looking for shelter. Brandon Phillips will bat with 2 on and 1 out here in the second inning. Mesoraco at second base. Bruce on at first. Phillips knocked in better than 102 years ago. But like Votto, like Bruce, injured a lot of last year. And Chris, one of those guys who showed up in spring training, arguably in the best shape of his major league career. And some of these guys have a little edge about them going into this year.
Well, in Brandon's case, he lost some weight. Rather than the other way around. Sometimes you see a guy go home over the winter and he puts on 15 pounds because he hits the weights very hard. Brandon, on the other hand, came in a little thinner, a little bit lighter, more agile. Of course, his defense has always been superlative. But he's hoping to be able to get that bat speed back that we haven't seen the last couple of years.
In the air, shallow left center field. Coming in hard is Marte, and that ball is going to be caught. Mercer went sliding. It looked like he was the one who made the catch, was it not?
I thought Marte made the catch. It looked like Mercer was going to get to it. The ball kept going. I really believe that neither outfielder saw it very well coming off the bat because it hung up there a long time. McCutcheon's coming, and then he pulls up, and at the last moment, Marte comes in and slides, and as he does, he clips the legs of Jordy Mercer.
Turns out to be a pretty nice play right there.
Boy, on something that I thought was rather routine. Good sequence of pitches either way you put it for Liriano.
2 on, now 2 out for the shortstop Kozart. Talk about a guy looking for a bounce back here at a pretty decent 2-year run at it. From an offensive standpoint, has always been among the best, if not the best, defender at shortstop among all National Leaguers, but 221 last year. Big drop in power as well.
Boy, Liriano seems to be making better pitches now out of the stretch than he did out of the full windup. I mean, he's pulled the string like he did on that last pitch to Kozart. Great arm action, same arm slot, sells it like a fastball.
Two and one now on Zach Kozart.
But if you're Brian Price, you're thinking, man, a hit here from Kozart could do such a great number of different things. It would give Kozart a lot of confidence. It would score a Reds run, and it would get Johnny Cueto up in this inning instead of leading off the next inning.
2 on, 2 out on a couple of walks for the Reds here in the second inning. And a little roller foul. Count even now on Kozart at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Reds their worst season since 2008, a year ago. 76 wins, 86 losses. They had gone to the postseason 3 of the prior 4 years. They were a heavy favorite by many going into last year on paper, to not only contend in the Central, but to win the pennant, even go to the World Series. Fastball in the inside corner is strike 3, and that will retire the side. 2 walks, 2 left. End of 2. No score in the rain.
Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day on the suite level, and throwing out the ceremonial first pitch today, and also grand marshals of the opening day parade, the Nasty Boys. We have Rob Dibble, Randy Myers, Norm Charlton here joining us. And tell me about this parade. I mean, was it more people than you expected being the grand marshal?
Absolutely. I mean, where I'm from, you get a couple hundred people. That's a big parade. So a couple 100,000 people is outstanding. It was amazing.
Had to be just a good feeling to come back and be welcomed so much with open arms.
It is. I mean, the best fans in the world. 25-year anniversary. So it couldn't have been any better.
Did you notice that your partner over here, Randy Myers, got out of the car and came clear up to the stage where I was doing the parade from? That is classic Randy Myers.
Well, you're a very busy guy, and I was like, I thought I saw that guy on the parade route, and then I see you here. Thank you for coming to the ballpark. It's an honor.
25-year reunion. This is not going to be the first time you guys get together this year.
No, we have another coming in 2 weeks for the bobblehead Nasty Boys. And then we're doing a little bit of an autograph thing for charity over in Newport at the Sports Depot. And so we're going to be, we have the 90 reunion on Friday. So we'll be back in a couple weeks and then around the All-Star game.
We are looking forward to a season-long celebration of the 1990 wire-to-wire World Championship team. Let's talk to the brains of the outfit. That would be Norm Charlton. This ceremonial first pitch, you guys did them all together. I was worried about the guys that were catching for you.
Well, they were a little nervous. Randy went right down the middle, and Rob and I crisscrossed, and they weren't quite sure if we were going to do it or not going to do it, and we had to warn them because we didn't want to hurt somebody and put them on the DL. These guys got a chance this year to do something really good. They're picked low in their division. I have a feeling in 90 we weren't picked real high in our division, 400-1 odds to win the World Series, and guess what happened? Wire to wire, and we won it. So these guys got a really good chance this year.
Tell you what, that's a great way to end it right there. The Nasty Boys. No one will forget the Nasty Boys at all. If you think 1990 World Championship, first thing out of your mouth, Nasty Boys. Greatest bullpen I've ever seen. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's great to have you back.
Jim,
thanks for having us.
Yes, Tom.
Jim, if you don't mind, ask them what their reaction was to the lengthy piece that was done on the MLB Network on that, because everybody thought that was such a splendid show. I'm curious what they thought about it.
MLB Network show, looking back, the Nasty Boys, the 1990 show. What were your impressions of that? It was very well done and very well received here in Cincinnati. What did you think of it?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing because Paul O'Neill doesn't do anything. He never talks about the Yankees. So to get him to talk about the Reds, I thought was very special.
Well, they said to get Randy Myers to do it was a hard part.
Actually, I came in, I was up on the mountains, and I came down, flipped, changed my clothes, did the interview, threw back clothes out. I went back up the mountains hunting.
There you go, Tom Brennan. What do you think, Norm Charles?
I thought it was a phenomenal show. I thought it was very well done, classy. The number of people they got to give their opinions in their interviews was great. I'd really like to see the stuff that didn't make it, that's laying on the cutting room floor, because I know there was some good stuff that didn't make it, but great show altogether.
I want to know where Norm got that shirt from.
I'm not touching that.
He's looking good.
He is looking good. You talking about the shirt he has on right now?
My Duckafly.
Oh, he had like a Impala behind him, and he had some looks like a Gucci shirt on. I'm like, yeah, it was duck feathers, all right.
Somebody think it was a cheetah, but it was actually duck feathers.
Like a cheetah print.
See what I have to deal with?
Doesn't get any better than these guys.
It doesn't. It's great stuff, and we're so lucky to have him here. And the personality comes through. It doesn't take very long in an interview or seeing them anywhere in and around town when they're together. Josh Harrison, 2 down. Back-to-back strikeouts for Johnny Cueto. He's fanned 4 of the first 9 in the game. Swing and a miss, and Johnny Cueto now a strike away from reaching 1,000 career strikeouts.
You know, Johnny Cueto is not only changing speeds on his pitches, but he's changing speeds on his delivery. If you watch him, sometimes it's a slow turn and then a move to the plate. Sometimes it's a quick turn. He did the quick and a changeup combination here to Josh Harrison. I mean, he is all about trying to mess up the hitter's timing, and that's really the goal of every pitcher out there. You want a hitter to feel uncomfortable in the box. Just never feel like you have a good read on what you're throwing up there.
In the air down the left field line, and that will fall in, a base hit for Harrison. And he's in standing up with a 2-out double. Second hit of the game for the Pirates against the Reds ace.
One thing about Josh Harrison, he's not afraid to swing the bat. I mean, he's got a nice level swing. He gets that ball inside a little bit. Cueto does, probably a little bit higher than he wanted to. But he is up there swinging. And he has earned every minute of Major League playing time that he's getting.
So one more big out to get to keep it a scoreless game. The rain almost stopped. And we'd like to hope and pray it stays that way. When the crowd is officially announced, the Reds expecting it to be the largest ever opening day crowd in the history of Great American Ballpark. A chance to be the largest crowd ever for a regular season game at Great American Ballpark. The record is 43,168. That was on opening day 2 years ago against the Angels. Runner at second, 2 away, 1-1 on Gregory Polanco. And now a ball and 2 strikes.
Polanco is an interesting guy. Came up through the Pirates organization as a can't-miss prospect. We saw him a lot last year. Big swing, occasional great power, good in the outfield. But he went back home and put on about 15 or 20 pounds. I mean, they say when it's all said and done, he'll end up being about the size of Dave Parker.
And there is strikeout number 1,000 in the career of Johnny Cueto. He becomes the 11th pitcher in Reds history to eclipse 1,000 career strikeouts. How about that? Thankful indeed. put up on the Jumbotron, so the crowd recognized that Cueto had hit 1,000 career strikeouts. And he is our IGS bringing the energy. Look at the names on this list. All-time strikeout leaders in Reds franchise history, and now Johnny Cueto, the 11th to reach 1,000.
Somewhere Johnny Alvarez is smiling. Of course, Johnny Alvarez is the scout that the Reds had for a long time, cross-checker. He was a decision maker. He was the one who went down to the Dominican Republic, saw Johnny Cueto as a teenager, and signed him to a contract. And Tom, I think it was less than $10,000 they signed Johnny Cueto for. You talk about return on investment.
Oh boy. And of course, Cueto is a free agent at the end of the year. I mean, you hate talking about it, you hate thinking about it. Believe me, just like you at home, Chris and I don't like sitting up here talking about the idea of Cueto not being a Red, but it is the business side of baseball. He's 29 years old, a free agent at the end of the season. Made his major league debut with the Reds in 2008. One of the great debuts in the history of Major League Baseball by a pitcher. Struck out 10 Arizona Diamondbacks right here at Great American Ballpark, and he has blossomed into the undeniable ace of the Reds rotation, and many will tell you their best over a long period of time, really since Jim Maloney. I know some might say, you know, this guy had a good run, that guy had a good run, but when you put up the numbers Cueto's put up, they are right there as good as anybody in baseball over the last 5 years.
How about Johnny Cueto on that at bat?
Well, you brought it up earlier, Chris, that if you give Liriano a chance, he will walk you.
And that's considering you've got an umpire today. John Hirschbeck is behind home plate, but he seems to have a very liberal strike zone. He's rung up a number of players, including Jordy Mercer and Zach Cozart, on pitches that are either on the corners or just off. So you better be swinging the bat today, but maybe not so much against Liriano. It's almost like Francisco Liriano kicks it into mental gear when he has to. I mean, he's kind of goofing around there. I mean, there's no excuse for walking the opposing pitcher to lead the inning off, especially. Now he's got to kick it into mental gear, a little second gear, because he's now got the top of the lineup coming around.
Billy Hamilton tried to bunt his way on, was thrown out by the catcher Cervelli in the first inning. Strike one. Liriano the last 2 years, 23 wins, 18 losses, 55 starts as a Pirate. And a very, very fine 3.20 ERA. Harrison for one. And Hamilton able to leg out the relay throw from Walker. If they read it's a home run off that Toyota sign during our game today in right center field, Master Sergeant Sean Fraley from Fairborn, Ohio, will win the beautiful new Tundra again on display here at the ballpark. Register for your chance to win. Stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer.
All right, now, Tom, I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to sound somewhat preposterous, but on that play right there, there's no way they're going to get a double play. What would you rather have? Billy Hamilton at first with one out, or Johnny Cueto at second with one out? Or is it a matter of time before Hamilton makes himself at second base?
That's a good question.
With Cueto at second base, it could take 2 hits to score. Not taking 2 hits for Hamilton if he can get into scoring position.
Well, as we know, analytics has become such an integral part of Major League Baseball. I would be interested to know, because there are a lot of guys that base a lot of thinking in baseball about just some of the percentages. What is the percentage of a runner scoring from second base with one out as opposed to a runner, and he's not any runner, I understand, at first base with one out? That ball stung by Votto. This is going to get Hamilton at least to third. Now I'll take my chances with a runner at third and 1 out.
Well, of course you would, and that's an obvious thing to say. But I can. The other thing that I think that plays into this that I'm not so sure that you can quantify is what happens to a pitcher on the mound when Billy Hamilton is standing at first base. Sure. Do you lose a little bit of concentration because you're worried about a stolen base? Do you speed up your delivery a little bit? Do you select a different pitch that you would normally select? With Johnny Cueto standing at second, you don't worry about him stealing third. You could care less about anything but the hitter. But I've got to think that every time Hamilton's on first, that pitcher's thinking a little bit about him.
So the Reds have their first hit of the season. It comes off the bat of Votto. And now the Reds are knocking on the door. First and third with 1 away in a scoreless game. We're in the bottom of the third. Todd Frazier, the batter. Down a strike. Hamilton at third, Votto at first, 1 away in the inning. No runs, 2 hits for the Pirates, and there is a balk, and that's how the Reds scored their first run in 2015. How about that?
Hey, you take him any way you can get him. It's the old start and stop. He started, there it is, and then he stopped. That little twitch right there, and that often happens between pitcher and catcher that have not worked a lot together. A little bit of a fake out perhaps by the catcher, and he got Liriano to twitch.
It is the all-Francisco battery for Clint Hurdle's team on this opening day.
Got to ask you, when do you think the last time that we've seen a Francisco battery? Francisco versus Francisco? Or
I would guess never.
You're guessing correct.
Incorrect?
You are guessing exactly correct.
Oh, all right.
It has never happened in the history of baseball where a pitcher named Francisco is throwing to a catcher named Francisco.
Wow.
So we're seeing a lot of firsts here today.
Chris, how big a deal is it? It's one thing to do it in spring training. How big a deal is it to work with a new guy after you've been working with basically the same guy? In Liriano's case, the last 2 years with Russell Martin.
I think it's huge. First of all, you're bringing a guy in, and in spring training, you're not grinding it out the way you are here against a big league team in a game that counts. You're working on your stuff.
2-2.
But it's not really only about pitch calling. It's about trying to get them both on the same page so that there's a little bit of a mental flow. Because I can tell you that Liriano is throwing the pitches that he wants to throw. If he doesn't like what Cervelli is putting down, as he does right there, he's asking for another sign.
Well, it's been on again and off again in regard to the rainfall here at Great American Ballpark. Hit off the end of the bat foul. Frazier still alive at 2-2.
Yeah, that sets up a chance for a changeup here from Liriano. He had him reaching for an outside fastball. The last pitch at 94 miles an hour. And a lot of times what he will do rather than double up on the fastball is drop that changeup on him low and away. Cervelli's going low and away.
Strike 3 called, 2 away in the inning.
Now it was a fastball, but he got the corner. A little bit of cut action on that last pitch.
No argument from Frazier. So now it's up to Devin Mesoraco to get in a second run in this Reds third inning. They lead 1-0. Throw down to second base. And Votto dives back. He had drifted probably a good, 25 feet off the third base bag. Second base bag. This is the second time today. The rain is falling pretty hard. 0-2. Is that a big deal for a pitcher? That's the first assumption most people make when they're talking about gripping the ball.
Now, the balls are dry because you get a new ball on almost every pitch. The only thing that begins to affect you as a pitcher is the mud area where you land. It gets clumpy in your feet, and you don't feel like you land solid. That's where you can have a little bit of a problem. Back in the days, all they would give you would be a popsicle stick out there to clean your cleats off. Now behind the mound, they've got a little boot cleaning area with some little rubber spikes sticking up, and you brush that a few times, it cleans them right off. You probably need one of those coming in the back door.
I do.
Make sure all the kids do that before they enter the house.
Or the dogs.
Okay.
Just off the corner. One and two on Devin Mesoraco. Joey out at second base. Reds lead 1-0 last of the third. This could be trouble. Shallow left center field, and Mercer this time with the over-the-shoulder catch to end the inning. Reds get ahead. They score on a balk and lead at the end of 3, 1-0. Who can forget Johnny Cueto? The final game of last year on September the 28th got his 20th win, 8 innings, 6 hits, allowed 1 run. Of course, they let him back to try and get win number 20, and he delivered the game-winning single in the 8th inning, and Aroldis Chapman would nail it down in the 9th. Cueto win number 20, the Reds' first since Danny Lynn Jackson back in his sparkling 1988 season with the Reds. Boy, what a great year Jackson had that year. Similar to Cueto, Jackson had a Cy Young Award-like season.
He did.
But he lost out to a Dodger that did an extraordinary thing. That was the year Oral Hershiser had the all-time consecutive scoreless inning streak. Cueto, an exceptional year. Could have easily been named a Cy Young Award with it were it not for another Dodger ace, Clayton Kershaw. Big inning here, 1-0 lead, and the heart of the order for the Pirates, starting with Andrew McCutchen. McCutchen hit that hot smash if you weren't with us in the first inning. Pirates had a runner at first, 1 away. Todd Frazier made a diving play to his right and threw him out on a pick by Votto. This should be the first out here in the rainy 4th inning, 1 away. Doesn't look the same without all those long locks flowing out of the helmet and or hat.
Yeah, it used to be that there was a little bit of a kinship between McCutchen and Johnny Cueto, in the standpoint that, I mean, McCutchen, like Cueto, probably had not cut his hair for 5 years. That's what Johnny thinks that the last time he's seen a barber. McCutchen did it for charity. I don't know whether he donated the locks or he did the proceeds from the haircut to charity, but it was a charitable act. Really, more importantly on McCutchen is that people who watch him in spring training are wondering if he's completely healthy. Came out of a ball game not too long ago having slipped on home plate, said it was nothing. Pirates say it's nothing, and it may be. But his legs are such an important part of his game. They cannot afford to lose him at 100%.
Cueto is fan 5 ahead of Walker at 0-2, and there's strike 3 for strikeout number 6.
Boy, he is just painting the corners.
We invite you to cheer on the Reds. They take on these Pirates day after tomorrow. That'll be opening night here at the ballpark. All the festivities, the red carpet appearances by the Reds, and a special appearance by the 2014 Ohio State University Buckeyes National Championship football team. Urban Meyer will be here. A lot of the great stars. Team calendar giveaway thanks to Kroger. Come on down to opening night, 381 REDS. I wasn't a bad football team in Columbus last year.
I think there's a lot of teams that would agree with you.
Starting with Alabama and Oregon. I mean, they didn't lay a beat down on those teams. It was a tail kicking. One-two delivery and a line drive sinking liner. Hamilton came in to get it. What a play. He was a finalist for a Gold Glove as a rookie a year ago. And right from the get-go, Hamilton with a dandy in center.
15 on Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day, still up here in the suite level. April 8th, 1963 is when a kid from Cincinnati named Peter Edward Rose made his opening day debut. 4,256 hits later, he is the hit king, and he is in the house. Pete Rose, how you doing?
Jim, it don't rain in Vegas.
It doesn't very often.
Could we get off to a good omen and win a game by a balk?
You know what? It might happen just because you're sitting here.
I've seen stranger things happen, but great crowd as always. A little bit bad on the weather, but Cueto looks good. Frazier made a great play on McCutcheon in the first inning. It's a double, a second, third, and 1 out. So we're doing okay right now. Cueto's one of the best pitchers in the league, no question about it.
You attended opening days as a fan, as a kid, many years in a Cincinnati Reds uniform. Now retired. Does opening day ever get old to Pete Rose?
Never gets old. It gets better, actually. And I used to love to go to opening day when I was a kid, because that means if you had a ticket, you got out of school. You show the ticket to your teacher, they let you out of school. And I was never nervous on opening day until right before my opening start, about 20 minutes before the game. A gentleman from the Enquirer come down and said, could I get a picture with you and your mom and dad? And they came down on the field, and it kind of woke me up where I'm at, what I'm about ready to do. And that was starting at second base for the Reds, something you wanted to do your whole life.
That is beautiful. The conversation we had in Las Vegas was epic, by the way, and you're going to see more of that in the coming days on Reds Live. We had a taste of it today, and one of the things we talked about, and it's a hot topic, and I just want to ask you about it right here, is that you are in the camp that you do not think that Joey Votto should change his hitting approach, and you even compared him to the way that Joe Morgan used to hit.
Well, they swing at strikes, and just because as a guy in scoring position, you don't change your approach of how you're trying to hit the ball. Joey's a good hitter. Okay, they got him second, which we talked about in Vegas, and it's produced a run right now. So Mike Schmidt didn't swing at bad pitches. Joe Morgan didn't swing at bad pitches. I did. Tony Perez did. Johnny Bench did occasionally. But you don't want a guy to start, because if you want him to start swinging at pitches an inch or two outside, then you want him to swing at them 6 or 8 inches outside. Then he's just not going to be a good hitter. But Joey Votto is a good hitter. Joey's healthy. Joey will hit. Okay, if he knocks in runs, get guys on in front of him. That's the only way you solve that problem, is getting guys on base before Joey, because Joey can hit.
There are a lot of people not.
Me and Marty disagree, but Marty knows a lot about baseball too. But he just is so passionate about wanting Joey to knock in runs that he wants him to change his approach at the plate, and he's not going to change it. That's out of here.
Call it, Pete.
Bye.
Talk to the hit king, and Jay Bruce goes yard.
Now he looks a lot thinner than me this year, and he'll have a good year this year, and I hope he has a better year defensively, because a couple of years ago he was one of the best right fielders in the league.
What do you expect out of this team, Pete? Final question.
I expect them to make the experts look like jerks. You know, all I hear is they're going to face 4th or 5th. I don't know. Milwaukee's not that good. The Cardinals got a pretty good team. I don't worry about the Cubs. The Cubs are the Cubs. Pittsburgh, they can be handled too. They're not that deep in starting pitching. So the Reds stay hanging there injury-wise and get a couple good years from different guys. They'll be okay.
Hit King's got me fired up, boys.
Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, you get a chance to hang out with Pete Rose, and we've talked about it so many times. Jimmy, you haven't run away from there yet, have you?
No, I'm right here.
I'm curious. One note we brought up earlier in the game, and Joe Luckham, our statistician, looked it up. When Josh Harrison came to the plate today, he was the first Cincinnati native to bat leadoff in a game in this ballpark since Pete Rose. when Pete did it with Philadelphia. Does he remember that at bat, and what was it like for him coming back here? I guess we're going to have the final out of the inning. So if you can hang out, we'll get back to that in a minute if that's okay.
Right
the Reds get a home run by Jay Bruce and lead at the end of 4 on opening day, 2-0. The Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Top to bottom, wall to wall, neighbor to neighbor. Jim, let me check in back with you and the hit king, Pete Rose. Does he remember that game or that at bat in particular?
He does remember that game. Josh Harrison today, the Cincinnati native, and at bat you came back with the Phillies. You remember that?
It was my second at bat because it was one of those nights when Eric Gregg was umpiring and everything he was calling when we hit was wrong and everything he was calling when Johnny was hitting was wrong. And I had 2-2 on me and he threw a pitch pretty close. And then everybody didn't know they were arguing except me because I could hear him. And Johnny was a good arguer. He didn't move his head. But then on the 2-2 pitch, he said, ball 3, Johnny started. Everybody in the ballpark knew he was arguing. And Eric ripped his mask off. He said, bench, he said, you say one more damn word, I'm going to bite your head off. And Johnny looked up and said, if you did, you'd have more damn brains in your stomach than you got in your head. He said, ball 4. I said, see you later.
See, Jim, that's why you have to ask the hit king about any of that, because you never know what's coming. It doesn't get much better than that.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Well, tell Peter we got to see him sometime soon. We love him.
They want to see my homecoming. They want to see me get a hit. Eric's helping me out, but I just couldn't get a hit. Hey, he used to come over to the waterfront all the time when I was part owner of the waterfront, and he'd come in and eat about $900 worth of food. You know, he was that big guy. That's everything you can to try to win a game, Jimbo.
I might sit here for a few innings and just enjoy some laughs. You guys enjoy the game.
We will. He is the best. He is the best. And look, Jim, some of you may be saying, you know, why isn't Jim Day asking him about the whole situation with Rob Manfred, the new commissioner of baseball, and much has been talked about. Look, Pete has already made it very, very clear in the interview he did with Jim out in Las Vegas. And I'm sure sitting with him now, Pete and all of his people are saying, we're not going to talk about any of this. We're grateful that at least the commissioner is going to listen to everything that happened and is willing to take a look and at least be open-minded about what might be or what is to come. So,
I mean, really, what can Pete say?
That's right.
Exactly, that we have not heard or we don't know already. You know, but one thing that Jim Day has to remember when he's talking to Pete Rose is when you're talking about a previous at bat or a game or a pitch, you never have to ask Pete, do you remember? Instead, you say, Pete, tell me about the third at bat you had in Atlanta in 1986 against Gaylord Perry. And he would dial it up, and here it comes.
You're right. That was a great story. And an unbelievable line delivered by Johnny Bench. Well, after a rare walk, and whenever you see Cueto walk anybody anymore, you're almost in disbelief. And that was a 4-pitch walk to Cervelli. Takes care of Mercer, the very next batter. 2 are out in the inning.
Well, what that walk does at the bottom of the inning, of course, is it brings the pitcher up in this inning for the Pirates. And Liriano's never really not much of a hitter. 4 for 45 last year.
Struck out looking his first time up today. High bouncer at Brandon Phillips. And Cueto, 5 scoreless innings. Middle of the 5th at Great American Ballpark on opening day. Reds with a 2-0 lead. Brought to you by Meyer. By your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News World Report's best children's hospitals in America in back-to-back years. Oh, what a wonderful night they had. A big fundraiser for Cincinnati Children's Hospital a couple of weeks ago over at the Duke Convention Center. Of course, Chris, that'll be the hub of the Midsummer Classic. All-Star Game, Fan Fest will be over there. I'd like to remind you that on Wednesday night it'll be opening night at the ballpark. I mean, there's a lot going on. For red carpet appearances by the players on this year's team, we will honor the 2014 Ohio State Buckeyes National Championship football team. Have a big team calendar giveaway thanks to Kroger. Post-game fireworks presented by PNC Bank. 381 REDS. Going to be a great night. Day after tomorrow. 2-0 Reds. A lead as they bat in the fifth. Cueto looks at a strike. He walked his first time up. Two runs, 2 hits for the Reds. They scored their first run on a Liriano balk with Billy Hamilton at third base in the third inning. Jay Bruce homered in the fourth. 1-2 on Johnny Cueto. Liriano has allowed the 2 hits. He has walked 3, fanned 4. John Hirschbeck said Cueto went around on that half swing, and he becomes the 5th strikeout of the game for Liriano.
Billy Hamilton made one heck of a play against Starling Marte to end the 4th inning on a line drive to center field. This ball will go straight at the center fielder, and then at the last moment just dive off a little bit. It had to be knuckling, because no other reason why Billy Hamilton would see it and then have to dive towards left field. His feet coming out from underneath him. That ball nearly got by him. That was an amazing catch. You know, any outfielder will tell you the hardest ball to catch is the one that is hit right at you, because normally it's knuckling. Of course, when a big leaguer hits it, it's knuckling coming out there about 110 miles an hour.
You know, when that left the bat, that is in perfect alignment basically of where we are sitting up here in the booth on the 3rd level. And to see that thing make a left turn or a right turn for Billy Hamilton was extraordinary. He still caught it.
One more time, we'll take a look at it. It looks like it's going straight. Then you see just about 20 feet before it gets there. I mean, it just knuckles and heads into the gap.
Hamilton 0 for 2 in the game. He reached on a fielder's choice in the 3rd. Went to 3rd on a single by Votto and scored on the balk.
You know, by contrast, in 2014, Billy Hamilton had a very good spring training. A lot of high expectations coming out of spring training camp for Hamilton. Had a great first half, slumped in the second. This year did not have a good spring training, at least from an on-base percentage standpoint. Got the ball in the air too much, did not bunt nearly as much. I think there are a lot of people, and I'm included in one of them, that, you know, you can take those spring training stats and just throw them right out the window. They don't mean, if they don't mean a thing for Jay Bruce, why would they mean anything for Billy Hamilton? This kid is beginning to get it. Little by little, he is getting it.
Well, he's worked a full count here against Liriano with 1 out and nobody on. Votto waiting on deck. Reds with a 2-0 lead. We're in the 5th. Been raining on and off the entire day since about the 2nd inning. Hit hard in the short right. 2 are out.
I think he slipped in the batter's box on that. Looked like his feet came out from beneath him.
Coming up tonight after Reds Live, the Blue Jackets on home ice take on Rick Nash and the New York Rangers. Have all the action following Reds Live right here on Fox Sports Ohio. So now Votto with 2 down and nobody on. Broken bat bouncer to Alvarez. He will feed the pitcher, and that'll do it. 1, 2, 3 go the Reds. We go to the 6th. Reds 2, Pirates nothing. It says there is rain on the way, or more rain on the way, I guess more accurately. Heavy enough to bring the tarp out. Boy, the way Johnny Cueto's going here today, Chris, you know, you got to hope and pray this doesn't take all that long, because he is dealing again to begin this 2015 season.
You're right, Tom, and there's no real mark of demarcation as to when you take your pitcher out as far as terms of number of minutes that he sits in the clubhouse. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll go back in the clubhouse, and he's asking John Hirschbeck right now, well, what do you think? How long is this going to be? Sometimes you go in there and you sit for 15 minutes, and then if you think it's going to stop soon, you get up, and they've got an underground batting cage and pitching tunnel down there, so maybe you get a little throwing in just to keep your arm loose, your body going a little bit. But you are right on spot, Tom. I mean, he is painting the corners delicately here today.
Well, you look at his day so far, and Cueto allowed 1 hit in the first inning. He had again, Chris said it at the time, it could turn out to be, and you can make an argument that so far it is, the play of the game turned in by Todd Frazier on a hot smash off the bat of Andrew McCutchen. Pirates would have had runners at second and third with 1 out in the very first inning. But Frazier made the great play. Votto made the great pick at the other end. Cueto allowed a double in the third inning to Harrison. That's been it. Fan 6, walked 1.
You may even argue with Polanco at first, and he's a pretty speedy outfielder. He may have scored on that.
Sure.
So they may have already had a run on the board, which would, have put them ahead at the time. I'm looking at the radar, Tom, and I'm no Pat Barry or Tim Hendrick.
Sure.
But it doesn't look too bad. How's that for a weatherman audition?
You know what? As long as you say there is a chance of rain, you're covered. Would you say, playing the role of Pat Barry or Tim Hendrick right now, is there a chance of rain?
It's in the area. You may have a pop-up shower. So bring an umbrella just in case.
Okay.
Boy, talk about covering yourself. Man, there's a way you can cover yourself there.
You're already one of the all-time greats.
In fact, I know they did some improvements here at Great American Ballpark. But just to make sure.
I mean, you really came prepared. Did you bring that yourself, or did somebody give you this umbrella?
Well, I brought this umbrella, Tom, because I didn't want us to be left out in the rain. I mean, the players have the clubhouse to go to. The umpires have a place to go. They're even coming in from the bullpens now. I want to make sure that if there happened to spring a leak in our Fox, Ohio booth.
Well, there are a lot of leaks in this booth.
Usually they're below us. But I got to tell you that I didn't want you to get wet, partner.
I appreciate that.
And I also want to tell you that I had this umbrella with me the entire parade route. And I was so psyched today when I got that out there at the beginning of the Finley Market Parade.
Yep.
We had convertibles there, one for me, one for you. And after we made a pact in Goodyear, Arizona, where you were going to be there and be my partner through the opening day Philly Day Parade, and I looked around, I said, well, where's Tom?
Well, that's why, and I had sent word not to you but to our bosses at Fox Sports Ohio, and I said, look, I didn't realize something that I could do early in the morning with our kids that I didn't think I'd have a chance to do, that I actually didn't know about. That's why my wife is so good at keeping a calendar. Polly's the best. And I dropped the ball. Well, I mean, that's all there is to it, and I feel bad about it because I did say, and I don't renege on my word, I did say that I would be there. And I wasn't there.
Well,
I feel badly about it.
Because it was something to do with your kids, you're excused.
I know, but I did want to go. And it looked awesome. Our coverage, by the way, for everybody involved, Jim Day, Tricia Mackey, Pat Barry, they were the ones you saw today, among others. But for all the technical people at Fox Sports Ohio, and our crew is the best in all of baseball, in my very humble opinion, all the way up to the executives at Fox Sports Ohio for putting this thing together and the amount of work that goes into televising a parade, along with an hour and a half of pregame show coverage, Reds Live, right here on Fox Sports Ohio. A beautiful job done by all, and believe me, their day is nowhere close to being finished because all that equipment had to go up and all that equipment has to come back down.
You know the call time for all the techs and people that worked on the different stages that we had? I think there were 4 or 5 different locations where we had camera and audio and lighting and all. They were here at 4 a.m.
Oh, boy.
So we were home grabbing Z's. These guys were out there working hard.
Well, some guys were home grabbing Z's. Some guys might have just been rolling in.
Well, that's true.
Knowing it was opening day. Some of my friends, I don't know about your friends, you run with a much higher brow kind of crowd than I do.
We like to get our sleep. That's what you mean.
Yeah. Most of those that are rolling into the get crew I've been hanging out with for a while. Anyway, we are hoping that this is a quick rain shower. Now, they're putting up on the weather update, thanks to Chris Welsh. Severe weather is in the area. Expected to move through, but they're asking all the fans to, get up underneath. Look, this time of year when you get in the Midwest, you just never know about opening day. 1977. Who can forget that? 4 inches of snow the night before opening day, and the game still went off.
We had an opening day back at Riverfront Stadium, or I may have been Synergy at that time. I remember that we saw all 4 seasons in one day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it rained, it snowed, it was windy like it would be on a fall day, and then suddenly the sun came out, and it was a beautiful spring afternoon.
I know you said there, really isn't a manual to decide how long you keep a starting pitcher sitting down before you would consider getting him back up again when you resume play. Did you ever have, just based on your experience, was there an amount of time where you kind of said, probably not a good idea?
I don't think so. Back in the day, if you only pitched 5 or 6 innings, you don't think you did your job. In fact, if you gave up 3 runs in 6 innings, you thought you had a bad outing. So I think in cases like this, especially with the ace on the mound, you've got conflicting things that you're thinking about if you're Brian Price versus Johnny Cueto. Brian Price is thinking, hey, I need Johnny Cueto 33 more times on the mound this year. He had 34 starts last year. I need him. And so I may not go along with him. I may think, he's going to be on a pitch count anyway. If this thing lasts more than 15 or 20 minutes, I'm getting Cueto out of there, and I'm turning it over to the bullpen, even though it is only a 2-run lead. And if you're Johnny Cueto, you're thinking, hey, I'm the ace of the staff. I need to go deeper. I think ultimately it'll come down to what Brian Price feels, and I don't think there's anybody that's got a better feel of the pulse of the pitching of this team than obviously Brian Price.
Let's check in downstairs with Jim Day.
There is a bit of an irony to this rain delay, and one guy that we would like to salute, and that is Doug Gallant. He has been the head groundskeeper here at Great American Ballpark, and today is his last day. Doug has decided over the offseason that he would like to be a little bit of an entrepreneur, spend some time with family. So this is his last official day as groundskeeper. Now, I have never seen the field look so good coming out of winter as it does now, but they're kind of laughing down here, the grounds crew. They're like, one more time around to send Dougie out in fine fashion. One more rain delay for Mr. Gallant.
Now, Jim, were you thinking of Chris Welsh when you said grounds creeper?
You know what? It did enter my brain. But I tried to just move on. And
no, I know. I'm just kidding. I'm ribbing you. And we all say thank you. And an incredible job done by Doug. This is hard work now.
It's hard work, and it's not only about growing grass. It's obviously about taking care of a ball field when it's raining like this. We have seen deluge, gully washer type thunderstorms come through. We're getting a lot of rain right now.
Yes, we are.
And now it's not only about keeping that grass green, it's about making that thing playable, getting the tarp on in time, alerting the umpiring crews to say, hey, we really think something heavy is coming. You better get the thing on there now because it's going to be unplayable otherwise. Because the beauty of a spring storm is oftentimes they're in and out, and as soon as that storm is through, you roll up the tarp, you get back to baseball.
Jim Day started to talk to Pete Rose about it a short while ago, looking at this National League Central. Be interested to hear your thoughts, Chris, starting with his Pirate team. We haven't had a chance to really get into their team so far in the game today. At 2-0 Reds leading here in the 6th inning. There's some that really like this Pirate team, and there's some that kind of feel like, well, let's wait and see. And it primarily has to do with their starting rotation. Garrett Cole has never pitched a full year in the major leagues. He is the guy probably stuff-wise would be their ace. but has never pitched a full year in the major leagues. They bring back Liriano. They bring back A.J. Burnett after a miserable year. Apparently he's pitching with a sports hernia last year in Philadelphia. That may be the case, but he lost 18 games, a major league high. And so the back end of their starting rotation, some people feel like, well, maybe not so fast. They really like their regular lineup, the 8 players they're putting out there on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like many mid-market teams, Tom. You're looking for help in the back of the rotation the same way the Reds are. The Reds have some unknown there with Anthony DeSclafani, Raisel Iglesias right now, Jason Marquis. You're not sure what you're going to get out of him for the full year. Whoever ends up being 2 of those 3 guys will be in the rotation when Homer Bailey comes back. You know, the same way with the Pirates. They've got Jeff Locke, a left-hander, as a number 4 starter. They were hoping that Charlie Morton would step back in. He's had hip surgery over the winter. He certainly did not throw the ball well in spring training. Vance Worley, former Philadelphia Philly, is also going to be one of the starters. We will not see him in this series. So I think they've got the same type questions. It's a very interesting team because they're very much like the Reds in that respect. You like their everyday lineup. I think the big difference between the Pirates and the Reds as far as their everyday lineup is that the Pirates are several years younger overall. They still have players that are on the up and coming, and they've also got superstars. The Reds have a superstar, say, in Joey Votto, and they've got Andrew McCutchen. The Reds have a stud pitcher in Johnny Cueto. I can't see anybody on the Pirates in the same category as Johnny Cueto. And, of course, the Reds at the very end of the bullpen have maybe the most dominant closer in all of baseball in Aroldis Chapman.
Although Melanson's done a great job for them.
Yeah, and you can't take anything away from Melanson, but if you gave any general manager the option, Chapman on one hand or Melanson on the other, everybody going with Chapman. So on paper, I think that these ball clubs are very similar. Where is the depth? Do the Pirates have enough in their minor leagues to help out if there's an injury during the season? And the same question can be asked for the Reds. The one thing that I really like seeing down in spring training was all the number of young players, and we've talked about it a lot, that are coming up the Reds ladder in the farm system. And they're at the food chain now at the point in the channel where they're not at A-ball and they're not at just getting into Double-A. We're talking about players that are Triple-A ready, and they're a phone call away. And I imagine we're going to see some of these players this year, and it's going to be very exciting because I saw a lot of talent down there.
You and I briefly touched on the amount of publicity, and I guess using that word and that thinking, it's not a surprise the Cubs would get a lot of pub, because anytime it looks like they might have a decent team, a lot of people go crazy. And believe me when I tell you, I worked there every day for 6 years. When there's a hint of a possibility of a good team, they get excited and they go crazy. You can understand why. They opened their season last night with a loss to the Cardinals. Pete Rose said a moment ago, I'm never worried about the Cubs, tongue-in-cheek, I'm sure. But are you buying that this early right now?
No, I don't hear anybody who is making decisions for the Cubs, ballyhooing themselves for putting this great team together. They went out and spent some money. There's no question about that. They brought in Joe Madden, presumably one of the better managers in baseball. They spent a lot of money on him. They spent a ton of money on John Lester. They brought in Dexter Fowler. I do like that move a lot. I like the Montero move. I've always liked David Ross. But I think what the Cubs are going to find is that it's easy to get your team from, say, 10 games below 500 to 500. But how do you get them from 82 wins to 92 wins? That's the toughest part of all. And that it may take another year or two for the Cubs to be able to do that. Remember, though, that they're still going to have a lot of money to spend, I think, where other teams do not. You continue to go around the National League Central Division, and a lot of people have thought, hey, this Milwaukee Brewer team is going to be improved, and I'm not so sure. They sent their number 1 out on the mound today, and Kyle Loesch. He had a horrible game against the Colorado Rockies. I think he gave up something like 8 runs in 3 innings, and I'm not so sure that they're going to pitch well enough to support the number of runs that they're going to be able to get from that offense, which will score.
Sure. Cardinals, again, appear to be on paper, and it may turn out, they'll prove it on the field, the class of the division. I mean, they're loaded. It's a loaded team as far as young players, young pitchers, led by the main man who won last night in Adam Wainwright.
Well, you're right. I mean, anytime you run Wainwright out there, you've got a chance to win. It was against their Cubs number 1 and John Lester. It was a close ball game, 3-0. It wasn't like either of those guys pitched very poorly. In fact, Wainwright was really on top of his game. They had some losses. The passing of Oscar Taveras, obviously. As Shelby Miller being traded away as well. But I like the addition of Jason Hayward. He looked like a different hitter to me last night. The one thing that's interesting about the Cardinals is that they have, I think, 5 left-handed hitters in that lineup. And there aren't all that many left-handed starters around this division. So now the Pirates will have 2 in Jeff Locke and Liriano, but the Reds have none. And you got to figure, boy, it's going to be real interesting to see how many lefties are going to match up against right-handed starting pitching in this division, and whether that will really give the Cardinals an advantage or not. What it won't do is give the Cardinals an advantage in the 9th inning against the Reds, because Aroldis Chapman can take care of just about any left-hander out there.
Well, the bad news is you've had to listen to Chris and I for about the last 7, 8, 10 minutes. Good news is, take a look outside. It's no longer raining, or if it is, barely so. Enough where the grounds crew is headed out and apparently will remove the tarp momentarily.
Well, they're meeting right now with the umpires. I see John Hirschbeck out there and the grounds crew getting all together right now. And
while they're talking, we're going to take a timeout, and the guys will take it over downstairs for just a little while, hopefully not long at all. Opening day, Reds lead. We're in the 6th inning in a rain delay, 2-0. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. To go. Jay Bruce hit a home run for the Reds. They scored their first run of the season on a balk. 1-0 to Josh Harrison. So top of the order coming back from the rain delay. Pirates batting here in the 6th inning. 2 runs, 2 hits, 3 men left for the Reds. No runs, 2 hits, 3 men left for the Pirates. That was almost quick pitching, Josh Harrison, right there.
You know, he is finding new ways to keep the batter off stride. This is the feel part of Johnny Cueto. He did it again right there. A little quick pitch.
When you're that good, do you get bored?
You know, you wonder that. I mean, it's almost like he's toying with the opposition, saying, well, I can do this. Can you do that?
2-2 on Josh Harrison. Foul tipped into the mid of Mesoraco, and Johnny picks right up where he left off. Strikeout number 7. And again, for those of you that just joined us, when Cueto fanned Gregory Polanco to end the 3rd inning, he became just the 11th pitcher in Reds history to notch 1,000 or more strikeouts in a Reds uniform. Here is Polanco trying to bunt his way on. Foul.
You know, it's funny because a lot of Pirates are seeing that, you know, they saw the team in spring training. They were scoring a lot of runs down there. The lineup was going well. Everything had the good offensive flow. And then you run into a pitcher like Johnny Cueto. And you look up and you've got 2 hits on the board. You got no runs in. You really haven't had any threats at all. He doesn't walk batters. And you can't blame your offense. You're just looking at a great pitching performance.
You know, you almost wonder, and Cueto just did it again with an abbreviated windup and delivery there on that pitch to Polanco after seeing it a moment ago. And there it is again. There's not the turn that we're used to seeing, the Louis Tiant-like turn. And he just comes right to the plate.
It's just one more wrinkle that you got to think about as a hitter.
Now back to the turn. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Polanco.
You know the old saying about pitching, Stan Musial saying, not Stan Musial, but you know, pitching is like hitting. It's all about timing. And the more you can upset the hitter's timing, the more you're going to be effective on the mound. And this is what Cueto, I think he probably got feedback from catchers and from hitters in batting practice and saying, man, you know, I see them getting your timing, and they're trying to time that big Louis Tiant twist and turn so that they know when that ball's coming out of your hand. So they think it's coming out on 1, 2, 3, 4 count, and all of a sudden it comes out on a 2 count. And that's where the trouble comes for hitters. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cueto.
He has just passed Jim O'Toole for 10th place on the all-time Reds strikeout list.
Yeah, this is our Cholula hot sauce of the day right there. A 93-mile-an-hour fastball, upper end of the strike zone. You see the good movement on it, and Polanco becomes the 8th strikeout. The flamethrower brought to you by Cholula hot sauce.
Right back up through the middle, and that'll be a base hit by Andrew McCutchen, his first in 3 at-bats. So the Pirates have now out-hit the Reds 3-2, but the Reds lead it in the only category that matters, and that's 2-0 on the scoreboard. But we have seen with this Pirate team in the past, they pitch well enough to stay very close, and there is no debate they have plenty of thunder in this lineup. Walker hit 23 of them a year ago. You know, you and I were I think stunned by the note we read earlier today that since Great American Ballpark opened its doors in 2003, it is the Pirates who have the most wins among all visiting teams to come in here. Now put it in perspective for a minute. The Pirates from 2003 to 2013 were under 500 every year. The Cardinals seemingly won divisions every year since 2003. And yet it is the Pirates who have won more games in this ballpark than any other club in the National League that comes rolling in to take on the Reds. I was stunned by that.
That is a stunning stat. Maybe you just don't give the Pirates a kind of respect that they may think they deserve. Of course, playoffs the last 2 years.
And what's ironic about that is the Reds dominated this Pirate team last year. Popped up to the left side and the inning is over. Johnny so good through 6 in a 2-0 lead. Broadcast on AFM, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces serving around the world on land and on ships at sea. We thank you all for your service. God bless you all, defending the greatest country in the world. Well, like Johnny Cueto, the Pirates will stay with their starter. It is still Francisco Liriano despite the rain delay. The Reds lead 2-0. We had a pleasant surprise in between innings. Huge Reds fan. I mean, huge Reds fan. Former Ohio State quarterback and captain, and now an esteemed announcer, the former Buckeye Kirk Herbstreit. Nice to see Herbie up here.
You're always happy to have a Buckeye up here.
I like Herbie. He's a good guy.
Oh, great guy.
He knows his stuff. He's got a couple of his boys with him. Right into the heart of the shift.
You don't see too many right-handed shifts. But Todd Frazier may be one that he'll see more and more of, especially when you're playing a team like the Pirates who love to move those infielders around. Normally, back in the old days, if you hit the ball up the middle, that's a base hit every time. That's a 4-3 put out.
The Reds scored with runners on the corners on a balk. Charge to Liriano back in the 3rd inning. And then Jay Bruce hit a home run to right field in the 4th. 2-0 is where we stand, last to the 6th. That is strike 1 to Devin Mesoraco. For 1 is drawn a walk. Good idea. 2 balls and a strike. Reds only have 2 base hits. They had the single by Votto with Hamilton at first in the 3rd inning. That sent Billy first to 3rd, where he would score, as I mentioned, on the balk, and then the Bruce home run for the 2nd Reds run in the 4th inning. So Liriano's been very good today as well. Boom, nasty pitch right there.
Well, he's got both breaking pitches working for him today. The changeup was the strike before that goes away from him, and this is a slider down and in. And I mean, it just looks like a fastball all the way, and you see where it ends up, and there's just no way, even if Mesoraco puts the bat on that ball, he can't keep it fair. That's classic Liriano when he's on top of his game. Great depth, downward movement on that slider.
Two down for Marlon Byrd. 0 for 2, a pair of strikeouts for the former Pirate, and this is Reds debut, and that's ball 1. Liriano a year ago had a groin injury near the end of spring training. Strained an oblique shortly thereafter, put him on the DL. Before the All-Star game, his ERA was almost 5. Coming off a great 2013. But then after a month on the DL, second half of the season ERA at 2.20. League hit 193 against him. And by making back-to-back opening day starts, the first Pirate to do so since Oliver Perez in 2005 and 2006.
Well, he spent most of his career with the Minnesota Twins, during which time he threw a no-hitter against the Chicago White Sox. Believe it or not, that was the first shutout of his pro career. You might as well save it for something good, and he's got his breaking ball working better and better, even better now after the rain than before.
Did he go? Yes, he did, says the home plate umpire. A 1-2-3 inning for Liriano. We are off to the 7th on opening day. Reds in front 2-0. His last 3 opening day starts. Remember, last year he lost 1-0 on a Yadier Molina home run. 0.8 the ERA and a .500 record. Of course, on opening day, you're going against another pretty good pitcher. Last year, that was Adam Wainwright.
Well, it wasn't like Cueto had a lot of offense behind him last year anyway. He only averaged about 3.5 runs a game. So he had to have a good earned run average. He did. It was down at 2.2 last year in order to win 20 games. In fact, Francisco Liriano was even worse. The Pirates only gave him 3.1 runs a game of support. So both of these guys have pitched in a lot of very low-scoring, tight games like we're seeing here today.
Cueto, the victim of 3 blown saves by his bullpen as well a year ago. All right, here is Marte. Cueto ahead at 1-2.
And if you notice, both of these pitchers have the complete package and array of different pitches. I mean, they're not just going out there just because they can throw 95. Are they throwing 95? They both got great changeups, great sliders, being able to move their fastball around a little bit. Cueto's command is a little better than Liriano's, but they both have exceptional off-speed pitches. And that's really what it's all about. Hitters practice hitting fastballs.
One and 2 on Marte, and a foul ball out of play off to the first base side. 2 runs, 2 hits for the Reds, no runs, 3 hits for the Pirates.
Pretty good view from the, looks like the pilot house, CBTS pilot house.
Can be a very good view down there in the batter's box. These 2 teams have combined for a total of 5 hits in this one.
You know, speaking of the pilot house, Tom, I know that we're on the Armed Forces Network today. We are honored to be there. Today before the game, there was a great ceremony on the field. And I think that some of those 14 heroes that were honored on the field are right there on that Cincinnati Bell party deck out there. They were accompanied all day long during the parade by former Red and Hall of Famer now Ron Oster and George Foster. And they're hanging out with him. Ronnie's got his whole family up there with the guys. And I'll tell you, it's amazing the sacrifice that those young men have given to us to preserve our freedom And we thank each and every one of them for giving us what they have given us. That was the organization that put that together is called Impact a Hero. And the guy that runs it is a former serviceman named Dick Lynch. And we thank Dick for all of the work that he's done. It's just tremendous, the efforts that he has given over all the years to help men coming back from their service time in service of our country, and many of them maimed, injured, and the Reds have always gone out of their way to try to help whenever they can.
That was the ceremony down on the field. Senator Rob Portman from here in Ohio and U.S. Representative Brad Wenstrup were part of that for the Wounded Warriors as well. And coming up in the middle of the 7th, Cincinnati firefighter John Winfrey will sing God Bless America. And the 7th inning stretch today, special meaning. It will be done in dedication to fellow firefighter Darrell Gordon. Many of you may remember on the 26th of last month he died in the line of duty, and we will keep it here for the singing of God Bless America. Still 2-2 on Alvarez. And how about the national anthem today? Wow. I mean, we hear him every day, and we're honored to hear him every day. I don't know if I've ever heard one better than today. Little Mariana Van Hoos. Alvarez gone swinging 2 away. She is blind. Recently was featured on an ESPN E60 segment. She's a native of Denver, Kentucky. I mean, this whole place was cheering. Cincinnati's one of the cities where generally our fans don't cheer a singer during the national anthem. This little girl was so good, you couldn't help but cheer during the national anthem. Ten strikeouts now for Cueto. Strike one to Francisco Cervelli.
I mean, he can't wait to deliver the next pitch. That's how good he feels. In fact, Cervelli got timeout. Cueto wanted to know why.
Well, Brian Price wondering the same thing. Well, that's hard to believe.
That is absolutely hard to believe. And I think when John Hirschbeck sees that back on replay, he's going to realize that you can't do that. I mean, he's in his delivery. Hirschbeck's been around a long time, more than 30 years, and is a very good umpire, but I think he missed that one.
Of course, 2 years ago, things were pretty testy between these two clubs. They set an all-time major league record for most hit batsmen during a season series between two teams. 2-1 on Cervelli.
It always seems to be a little cat and mouse game. You know, the hitter's trying to get the timing of the pitcher off, maybe step out a little bit. Pitcher is always trying to get the advantage, maybe a little bit of a quick pitch, or sometimes you slow it down more and more.
2-2. So here's Cueto, opening day start. 2 outs into the 7th. Has fanned 10. Tries to strike out the side. Talked about Cervelli replacing Martin. Cervelli is a good hitter. Pirates really like his bat. Cueto tries to put him away. On the ground and into center field, a base hit. So the inning will continue for the number 8 hitter, the shortstop Jordy Mercer. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game on demand in true HD. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Jeff Pico, Reds pitching coach, makes his first visit to the mound. The Pirates have the pitcher spot due up next. And they already have a pinch hitter standing in the on-deck circle. Andrew Lambo. Cueto not going to worry about him. He's trying to take care of Mercer and move on to the bottom of the 7th. And Cueto is more than aware of everything going on him out on the mound, and knows that Mercer has some pop in that bat. Mercer hit 12 home runs a season ago. Knocked down by Cueto, recovers, inning over. 7 spectacular innings from the Reds ace, Johnny Cueto. And this rain-soaked crowd at Great American Ballpark appreciates the effort, and perhaps the umpire telling him, I dropped the ball, allowing Cervelli to get time out there as Cueto walked off the mound. What an effort again. So as promised, we keep it here now for the 7th inning stretch. John Winfrey, Cincinnati firefighter, in dedication to fellow firefighter Darrell Gordon, who died on March the 26th in the line of duty.
Honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, as well as honor the life of fallen firefighter Darrell Gordon, and welcome Cincinnati firefighter John Winfrey as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
This bad boy. Tune in to Reds Live. The postgame edition is brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. You'll get the most expanded Reds highlights on the planet for the manager before anyone else, and lots more. I'm Jim Day. It'll be my pleasure once again to sit up amongst the crazies in the Fox Sports Ohio condominium. Hope you stick around after the game for that.
Well, we begin the bottom half of the 7th inning. Jay Bruce, who homered his last time up, hits one in the second baseman from short right field, throws him out.
You know, we mentioned it earlier about Jay Bruce and the struggles that he had historically against today's starter, Francisco Liriano. That home run that he hit against Liriano was his first ever hit against Liriano in 16 at bats, 17 at bats, probably 17 plate appearances.
And that is during the regular season. They count that one additional game, now the one-game playoff, as a postseason game. And I guess Jay had one hit against him there, but they have been few and far between. And I tell you what, you know, here was a dilemma for the Reds last year. Now, you don't want to get 2 strikes into a bat against Liriano, but he's thrown 2 pitches in the 7th inning and has 2 outs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's one of the things that bugged the Reds. We didn't put it as one of our keys to the division, but, you know, maybe trying to work more walks this year, and it's a ball club that strikes out a lot historically. You look at the numbers on each and every one of these guys in the lineup, and there are some that strike out a lot more than others. Now, Liriano is going to get his fair share of strikeouts, but coming into this game against the Reds, he had walked 19 in 30 innings.
The Reds a year ago were 29th in Major League Baseball, 32 teams, 29th in batting average, 29th in on-base percentage, 28th in runs scored. So they weren't walking and they weren't hitting. Subsequently, they weren't scoring
and winning. I think we just saw that.
The ball hit hard, but the second baseman had it shaded that way, and it is a quick 6-pitch inning for Liriano. Does Cueto come back out for the 8th? We'll know in a moment. Featuring a Todd Frazier bobblehead. Thanks to Coca-Cola, the first 25,000 fans take home a bobblehead of the Reds All-Star third baseman. Cardinals in town over the weekend. Friday night, Saturday 110, Sunday 110. 513-381-REDS. All right. Johnny Cueto, 7 spectacular innings. 4 hits, nary a run. 1 walk, struck out 10. And now making his Reds debut, been a closer for many of his major league seasons, is right-hander Kevin Gregg.
Been around a long time, is in his mid-30s, Gregg is. He does have 177 career saves, so he's been at the back end of a game many, many times.
All right, a 2-0 Reds lead. We open the 8th inning, and Andrew Lambeau, a swing and a miss. Well, Liriano threw an outstanding game as well. He goes 7 strong, allowed only 3 hits, 2 runs. Both of them were earned runs, including 1 home run to Jay Bruce. Struck out 7, walked 3. And this opening day crowd is the largest regular season crowd in the history of Great American Ballpark. 43,633. Nice little off-speed pitch there by Gregg.
Gregg had a very good spring training for the Reds down at Goodyear until his last outing. That's when he gave up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning when the Reds were up in Montreal against the Blue Jays. As a veteran, you write that off. He had already had the team made. And we can see now where Brian Price is going to use him. Did not miss by much.
You include Johnny Cueto's start today, pitching in undeniably one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in all of baseball. His ERA at home is 1.93 since 2011. 1.93. Clayton Kershaw's ERA at Dodger Stadium, far more pitcher-friendly. An incredible 1.79. By the way, Kershaw taken off the hook. He left trailing in the Dodgers home opener today, 3-2 against San Diego, but the Dodgers have just tied that game. Two and two on Lambeau. In and out of the mid of Mesoraco. Two and two on Andrew Lambeau, leading off the Pirates' 8th. Pretty good battle here.
Oh, you're not kidding about that. really against a left-hander, what Greg offers up there, he doesn't throw a lot of breaking balls. He doesn't want to get beat on a slider that hangs, so he's got fastball changeup. Normally relying on good command on that fastball, working both sides of the plate. Pitching in his 584th major league game.
Lambeau is 26 years old. Played in 18 games with the Pirates 2 years ago after 6 years in the minor leagues, first with the Dodgers and then the Pirates. And then appeared in 21 games for the Bucks last year. Lambeau at one time a highly touted prospect in that Dodgers organization. He was involved in that deal that James McDonald was in. Octavio Dotel was in back in 2010. Down the right field line towards the corner. Foul. It's 11 pitch at bat here for Lambeau off the Pirates bench.
Yeah, he's so persistent in there that Mesoraco is going to take a little trip out to the mound and ask Greg if he's got something that he hasn't seen yet. That last pitch was a changeup. It looked like the Lambeau got out and hooked, and if he's going to hit a home run, that's probably where he's going to hit it. He's going to get out in front of a ball and hook it right down the line.
Hey, this guy last year in AAA Indianapolis, and that's right in the heart of Reds country. This guy had an incredible 2 months of the season. 61 games, he knocked in 42 runs.
If that comes down,
nope,
came down foul. He's trying to get everybody a souvenir ball today.
A 12 pitch at bat by Andrew Lambeau, leading off the Pirates' 8th against Reds reliever Kevin Gregg. That ball clobbered. Straight away center field. Hamilton will have room. That ball hit right on the nose. Well, you know, you give a lot of credit to the hitter there for going 13 pitches in and at bat. Give Craig a lot of credit there for throwing strikes.
Exactly. Well, the Pirates have hit a few balls hard today, Johnny. Cueto flagged down a couple of hot shots through the middle. Of course, that great play early in the game when Todd Frazier stole a double away from Andrew McCutchen. That was in the first inning.
Harrison hits a line drive that'll fall in front of Bird.
Two hard hit balls right here. It'll be interesting to see how Brian Price plays. I don't think there's anybody up in the lineup, but you do have actually, you do. You have Manny Parra, left-hander, and Jumbo Diaz, right-hander, warming up. So if he wants a left-hander against Polanco, he's got him available.
Well, he's going to stay with Gregg. And it is ball one low and away. And of course, Lambeau, a left-handed batter who just had a very good at-bat, an out albeit, but a very good at-bat against Gregg. Well, it's moments like this where the managers, it's why they make the big bucks. 2-0 game. Getting right into the middle of his Pirate batting order. That ball in the air to deep left field. What a play by Marlon Byrd. Perhaps the second game-changing play of the day. is a big-time play by Marlon Byrd.
Marlon Byrd is one of the more athletic left fielders you'll see, and that's because he has been a center fielder the majority of his career. Opening day center fielder for several different clubs, including the Chicago Cubs. He goes back on this with no fear of the wall, and that takes away an extra base hit.
How about that shot? Oh boy, McCutchen hits it a ton. And Hamilton at the wall will not get it. And just like that, Cueto's 2-0 lead is gone. And the Pirates have hit nothing but rockets in this inning. And how clutch is McCutchen?
Well, you want to make a short list of MVP candidates, you start with him.
Yep. Well, what a shame. I mean, rocket after rocket in this inning. Showed you the graphic earlier. The last 3 opening days, that was before today. Johnny Cueto had a 0.86 earned run average and only a 1-1 record. It's now down to 0.64. And he's hoping the record, well, he knows the record will be still at 1-1. Question is, can his team get the win? Greg gives up 2 hits and a run. A pair of runs on the home run by McCutchen. And this will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Manny Parra will take over.
The Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
A game-tying 2-run home run by Andrew McCutchen here in the 8th inning. 2-2 affair, 2 outs, nobody on, and now taking over on the mound to turn Neil Walker around to the right side is left-hander Manny Parra. The Reds bullpen was first, second, or third for 4 consecutive years in every major important statistical category of bullpens all over baseball until last year. They were 14th out of 15 in the National League. And so far here today, Greg 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 2 runs. Parra 1 batter a hit. So now the Reds are going to use their 3rd pitcher in this inning to try and get the 3rd out, and that will be Jumbo Diaz. Look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around also on tomorrow at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, which will include an interview with Commissioner Rob Manfred by our very own Chris Myers. This inning began with the Reds leading 2-0. Kevin Gregg on the mound. Allowed a hit. 2-out game-tying home run by Andrew McCutchen. In came Manny Parra, allowed a single to Neil Walker. And now it's Jumbo Diaz to try and keep it a 2-2 game. Oh, 0-2. Of course, the story on Jumbo, he, without being flippant about it, he nearly ate himself out of the game. He had to lose close to 100 pounds just to get another chance by a major league club in camp with the Reds a season ago. Became a closer in Louisville. Came up to the major leagues after 10 years in the minor leagues. And was pretty doggone impressive.
And it was a matter of time, as long as he got his act together down in Louisville, that the Reds wanted him up here. They had guys that were not performing out of the bullpen. They had him down there throwing 96 and 97 miles an hour. But they had to get him to the point where he had to show them that he could do it consistently. And as soon as he did, from Louisville he came and had a very fine year.
0-2 on Starling Marte. We'll do it again. Great American Ballpark opening day in a city no other like it in all the Major League Baseball for opening day, right here in Cincinnati. Got a short rain delay about midway through this one, and here we are in the 8th of a 2-2 game.
Jumbo is certain. He's halfway to the dugout.
One and two on Marte. Got him with the next pitch. Slider. But damage done. He's the Pirates' main man. Andrew McCutchen ties it with a 2-run home run. Dealers. For over 30 Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Andrew McCutchen ties it in the top of the 8th inning with a 2-run home run. 2-2 game. After Johnny Cueto gave the Reds 7 shutout innings, fanning 10 and allowing only 4 hits. And now taking over on the mound, hard-throwing left-hander, and a good one, Tony Watson.
Well, one of the better left-handers around, that's for certain. Of course, you've got one in Aroldis Chapman down the Reds bullpen, but Tony Watson right there as far as overall combination of stuff. Great slider, good hard fastball, mid-90s, and he is Clint Hurdle's go-to guy without a doubt. You know, it's kind of funny coming into this ball game. One difference between these two ball clubs is that Clint Hurdle knows for certain who his 8th inning guy is, and Brian Price still hasn't figured it out. No problem with Price. I mean, no blame on Price, because he just has not had anybody in that bullpen distinguish himself to the point where it's obvious choice to do that. Watson, on the other hand, is by far the best choice for Clint Hurdle.
Chris Dominguez, a Louisville native, makes his Reds debut.
Actually, University of Louisville guy, played for the Cardinals. He was raised in Miami, born in California, and he was probably the most long shot player to make this ball club out of spring training. From the time he showed up, no one ever talked about it. And little by little, he kept hitting, kept playing, played different positions, showed a lot of power, and he goes down on strikes there.
Well, the 3 best players, I think you and I would both agree, the 3 best players for the Reds in spring training were all guys that are coming off their bench. Dominguez, Brennan Bosch won spots on his team. Christopher Negron reinforced his position on this team.
So those are guys where spring training actually meant something.
Sure.
Other than just getting in game shape.
Billy Hamilton, a run scored, 0 for 3 in a game. Billy did not play winter ball for the first time in his very young professional career, although that did not keep him from working out. He spent a lot of time in Atlanta working out at a facility owned by the former Red Mike Cameron, spending with a lot of time with former Major League player, now Louisville manager, Delano DeShields.
And Delano DeShields Jr. and Mike Cameron's son, who's one of the best young college player or high school players, I think, in the country. That was in Stone Mountain, Georgia. In fact, Billy essentially moved to Georgia.
All right, here we go. Hamilton, his first hit of the afternoon, and he's a go-ahead run here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, here's one of the dynamics that we were talking about from time to time in spring training, Tom, is that what happens with Joey Votto and a running situation for Billy Hamilton, which is every time Hamilton gets on. Will Votto give him a couple of pitches to go on? Will he be bothered by Hamilton running? Certainly running situation right here. Last year, 4 successful, 2 thrown out stolen bases for Tony Watson.
Starting to say, though, before that pitch was ever thrown, Votto seemingly has fallen into a pattern against left-handed pitching where he swings in the first pitch in a lot of those at-bats against left-handers. That's the 3rd time in 4 trips today.
Your best shot at a fastball.
Well, the Pirates' main man, McCutchen, came up with a big hit in the top of the 8th inning. Reds looking for a big one from their main man here in the bottom of the 8th. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Votto. Of course, in an otherwise rough year for Joey, missing 100 games due to injury, he did a lot of damage against lefties. Very quiet against the right-handers. 2-2. Votto having a long conversation with the home plate umpire, John Hirschbeck. The appeal, he did not go around. I'm almost willing to bet that Votto was asking, why was the second pitch in the at-bat a strike? And the one before this one not a strike, seemingly in the same location. Because Votto did not like the 0-1 call.
All pitchers want the marginal strikes and all hitters want the marginal balls.
Well, you got to believe Hamilton's going here 3-2. He's not. And that one's shot into left field. That'll be a base hit. And Hamilton goes to second base. What an at-bat there by Votto. That is a vintage Votto at-bat. Behind 0-2 in the count. Runs it full, bang.
Well, you give him a chance to take the ball the other way on a fastball, and he is about the best in the business at doing that. Committed to hitting it the other way, making sure that all he's going to do is put a good level swing on it, get to the hitting zone. In a game in which hits are very hard to come by, he's got 2.
The Reds have as many hits the last 2, Hamilton and Votto, as they had through the front 5 against Liriano. Pirates tied the game in the top of this 8th inning. Reds try to recapture the lead on consecutive singles by Hamilton and Votto with 1 out here in the 8th inning. Now Frazier, ball 1. Todd 0 for 3. But even with runners on base, they still have that second baseman standing right next to the bag.
You know, oftentimes you fake like that the second base to shorten the lead so a guy doesn't score on a base hit.
Hamilton, an incredible jump and no throw. That's stealing a base when your team needs a stolen base.
And it's stealing it on the pitcher, and no doubt. He figured that there was no infielder near him. The second baseman, Walker, is kind of jockeying him back, but he never ever did come to the bag. So anytime Watson turned, it was always a fake. So what did Billy have to lose? Todd now looking for something he can just loft into the outfield somewhere.
Frazier in his career 0 for 8 against Watson with 3 strikeouts. He just needs a fly ball here. A record-setting crowd for a regular season game. 43,633 here at Great American Ballpark. Saddened a few short moments ago when McCutchen tied the game with a home run. Now ready to celebrate if Frazier can bring in Hamilton. Which he does. See you later. Tell you what, Chris Welsh, it may only be opening day, but that's about as excited a Reds dugout as we have seen in a long time.
Now, that's about as excited a fan base that we've seen in a long time. Everybody on their seat. Very few have left to go home. The rain didn't send very many of them out of here. And that ball sent into the second deck. They're asking Todd Frazier to come out for a curtain call. And a 3-run bomb. You talk about uncorking a fastball. He is all over it. You know, interestingly enough, that is the first ever hit in 9 at-bats for Todd Frazier against Tony Watson. So if you're going to break through, do it in style.
And that's doing it in style. Crowd still wanting the curtain call by Frazier. They're starting to run out of steam.
This crowd's going to need a day off.
They'll get it. Oh, man. Talked about getting the big one. Hamilton a single. Votto a single. And then the big one. On the ground to the shortstop. Mercer will throw out Mesoraco. And you know who's getting ready in the bullpen without even looking down there. 3-run spread. One hopper off the bat of Bird, and that'll end the inning. So now Chapman will try and nail it down on opening day. After the big one off the bat of Todd Frazier. 5-2 Reds. We're off to the ninth. All the festivities. We have the red carpet appearance by the Reds. Special appearance by the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes football team, and a team calendar giveaway. Thanks to Kroger. Come on down, 7:10. Not tomorrow. That will be on Wednesday night, opening night. 3-run lead, 3 outs away from an opening day win. And who in baseball would you rather hand the ball to under that scenario than the flame-throwing Reds left-hander Aroldis Chapman?
The strikeout numbers on Aroldis Chapman is simply ridiculous. 54 innings, 106 strikeouts. That is more than 17 strikeouts per 9 innings. Nobody dominates hitting the way we have seen this left-hander do since he stepped on the mound for the first time for the Reds in 2010.
Sean Rodriguez will come up and pinch hit. Chapman last year, the first pitcher in the history of baseball to go through an entire year with an average fastball of 100 miles per hour or better. He became the first pitcher ever to average more than 17 strikeouts per 9 innings. He became the first reliever ever with a strikeout in 40 consecutive games. All those first pitcher ever. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Well, I tell you what, the other day, Chris, I was out on one of the spring training fields, and Chapman had been out getting some wind sprints in. He came walking in a pair of t-shirt, a pair of shorts, and a muscle t-shirt. The older he gets, the more sculpted and powerful this guy is. Maybe on television to some, in his uniform, he looks thin. This guy is really put together. He is a monster.
Well, you know what? People will call him a freak because he throws so hard. But really the thing that helps Chapman so much is not only the fact that he's hitting 99 and 100 miles an hour, but the fact that he is so close to home plate. He is closer to home plate when he releases the ball than most other pitchers. His legs are extremely long. His arms are extremely long. And the extension he gets to the plate is just incredible.
0-2.
You know, there are two ways to measure the speed of a pitch. One is the speed of the pitch as far as miles per hour. The other is how long in milliseconds it takes for that ball to leave the pitcher's hand until it gets to home plate. And that's where Chapman really excels.
See you later.
Cervelli said it smelled inside. You know, I think the one thing that hurts Chapman and a lot of hard throwers from time to time is that he throws so hard, and if you make a great pitch on the low outside corner, sometimes the umpire doesn't see it any better than the batter does.
Strike one to Jordy Mercer. Back-to-back strikeouts for Chapman here in the 9th inning. In the air, if it's playable, over near the stands for Bruce. It is, and the Reds have won it on opening day. What a game. An incredible performance by Johnny Cueto. Unfortunately, the bullpen let him down with McCutchen clubbing the game-tying home run in the top of the 8th. But it was that man who proves to be the hero, giving Jumbo Diaz and the Reds the win with Chapman the save. As Frazier clubs a 3-run home run off Watson in the bottom of the 8th inning in a 5-2 opening day win for the Reds.
Exciting day of baseball. Little did we know when we came up here early in the morning to get the parade going and all the festivities pregame. You're always excited about opening day, but I am so excited for this fan base in Cincinnati, most of who came out today and stayed around the entire ball game. They were treated to some kind of a great baseball game.
Well, Jeff Picoro has already corralled one of the heroes today. Todd Frazier, take it away, Pick.
Well, thank you very much, Tom. And, you know, Todd, opening day in Cincinnati is like no other. It's apropos that a guy like you that is Mr. Excitement for this team. You're looking for something. Joey had a great at-bat. Billy advances, and you absolutely murdered that ball.
Yeah, it was something special. I'll never forget, especially opening day. You got to lean back to the beginning of the inning. You brought it up, Billy fighting to get on, Joey battling. Check swing could have gone either way. That's what we do. You see the defensive plays. Let's talk about that. Unbelievable. Saved a couple runs here and there, and Johnny Cueto doing his job.
All right, let's go back to that first inning, that play. You got Andrew McCutcheon, one of the fastest guys in the league. Shoots it down the line. You go down and get it, and you knew you had to get up quick and make a good throw.
Yeah, I had so much dirt in my hand, I just threw it. And the ball felt like it was rolling down my hand. I knew Joey would pick me up there, and two great plays right there. One by a Gold Glover, and hopefully maybe one day by me, Gold Glover. Would be nice.
You saw one a little later in the game by Billy Hamilton, too, in center.
Yeah, Billy Hamilton, Marlon Berg, Jay Bruce at the end. We have a fantastic coaching staff who gets on us daily about working our legs and our feet and our footwork out there, and you've seen it.
Todd, finally, you knew coming into this season health was going to be a big issue. If Jay could stay healthy, if Joey was healthy, I think we saw that today. Jay taking a lefty out.
Productive, and he's, you know how he is. He's the biggest lefty to hit all the home runs against lefties. So he'll keep doing his thing. A lot of great at bats today. We just got to build on this. A little off day tomorrow. Maybe a couple root beers tonight, and then we'll be all right.
Great win.
All right, thanks, man.
Thanks, Todd. Todd Frazier, the big 3-run homer, and that's the difference in this one. Tom, back up to you.
All right, Jeff Picoro, thank you very much. We thank Todd Frazier for his time today. 5 runs, 5 hits. Home runs by Frazier and Bruce. Cueto spectacular. Jumbo the win. Chapman the save. Reds Live, the post-game edition, is coming up right around the corner. Time to celebrate Reds country. An opening day win, 5-2 over the Pittsburgh Pirates.